There is an enormous impact that place plays on how we think about the humanities, the social sciences, and to a certain extent even the sciences. What Williams in New York is able to do is to draw out elements of place and really focus on geographic underpinnings for things about how culture is produced, how different groups of people relate to each other, how people construct their social formations. In our curriculum, we're even going to have one class that looks at how environmental sciences are different in the city than they are in the countryside.
You're forced to recognize the world around you.
It's all done on the streets. We're never sitting in a classroom, we're always out. We're talking about a neighborhood, we're going to go visit it.
And you see a whole side of life that, like in the criminal justice world, you don't understand coming from a small suburban town.
Well, from my point of view, I'm an architectural historian. I have to go see the buildings. And I don't think you can really understand architecture without being in the presence of the building. I don't think you can understand a city without being in the presence of the city. So my whole professional career is involved with doing field work.
I play placements at the U.S. Attorney's Office with 3 Williams alums who are more than happy to show me the ropes. And what's really cool is that the other interns in the U.S. Attorney's Office are all 2nd and 3rd year law students. So I'm the only undergrad working there, and they're all really amazed that I'm there, and they're all really amazed that I'm not making copies.
We want something different. We want an experience where the students are not relegated to highly structured, usually bureaucratized internship roles, which are largely pre-vocational, where students end up doing work that is essentially routine. Instead, we try to work out opportunities for our students to be mentored by key people in the organization so that they come away with a sense of the structure, shape, the meaning of work in the organization, the very structure of people's occupational and professional lives.
Broadway has always been this crazy, wonderful thing that I've always loved, but thought was out of my reach. And Williams in New York offered me this secret passageway into this world that I never expected that I could have any access to. And so my time here is just so precious to me. I love it. And I mean, I've been backstage to almost every theater on Broadway. And that's just something that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Musa Seed is offering a class called Covering the Other. That's going to be a documentary course that focuses on 3 neighborhoods. His specialty is about going into communities and working with those communities to produce documentaries that reflect their particularity and their specificity.
My name is Michael Crutzen, and I'm one of the co-professors of the Williams in New York class, Explorations in the Urban Outback.
This whole area was replanted about 10 years ago to kind of recreate the only real forest environment in Brooklyn. And some of these signs talk a little bit about what they did in terms of pulling out tens of thousands of invasive plants and replanting with just an astonishing number of native plants. So we've got, this is a wet area, so we've got sweet gums in here, red maples, those are all wet-footed trees that really thrive in a swampy environment. So it's human-created, but humans are kind of trying to work it a little bit back toward a more naturalistic environment too.
We're going to be doing a lot of field work for the course, and so we're going to be going to, actual, real habitats that have survived the Europeans' arrival into New York City and the intensive urbanization of the area.
We're really excited to be able to offer people the opportunity to take one class at NYU in their Metropolitan Studies program.
The whole fandango when the drum program of what a can go. In spring 2009, I'll be teaching a course in the Williams in New York program called Art Space in the City. The class will look at the intersections between art and urban space, and what I really want us to consider is the ways in which the city, as both a social space and a material space, is used by artists in the production of artwork. So in some ways I want to move beyond the issues of artists simply representing the urban landscape, but rather how the city itself, again as a material and as a social force, is used as a material itself in contemporary art projects.
One of the things about this particular course that I'm imagining that I'm going to teach is that it's very much centered around neighborhoods in New York City. So I'm interested in different literary and cultural movements, but how they've actually been locally anchored in specific neighborhoods in New York. So for example, Greenwich Village or Harlem or the Lower East Side. There's this sense that this is high culture, that these are artifacts or texts that are very much produced almost in a bubble. I think people read them, they're enthralled with them as aesthetic works, but they often forget the sort of conditions of their production. They forget the social context, they forget the material context. They forget the social history of the writer or the artist, and I think it's very important to remind students of that fact.
The Williams in New York program can literally be whatever you want it to be. You just have to take hold of it and say that you want it, and you can get it.